Let's play through all of Raft together. Hi friends, and welcome back to Raft. It's been a while since I've played Raft in the way that the developers intended, and by that I mean that I do a lot of weird Raft challenges, and I've done pretty much everything that I can think of in the game. But what I haven't done for quite some time is actually just sit down and play Raft. As is probably pretty well known at this point, Raft is what I call our favorite ocean floating simulator. And that's because, for the most part, I'm floating on an ocean. And that's what this game is. And I really, really love it. That being said, I am one of the top Raft speedrunners in the world, and I make some of the most consistent Raft content out there. And that means that one of the most popular requests that I get is to do a Let's Play, which genuinely, I have a really hard time sitting down and playing this game normally because I'm one of the top speedrunners and because I make so much content for this game about like how to play it. And so that means I don't have as much fun playing the game normally anymore. And in some ways, I'm hoping that this video will be almost a love letter to the game. Because again, I do genuinely really love Raft. The first time I ever played this game, me and my best friend Nick built a 4-story bathtub that we lovingly nicknamed the Bathtub Battleship. And when I first started playing this game, almost 4 years ago now, I could not stop thinking about the Bathtub Battleship and how much fun I had playing it with her. Since that time, I have gone to graduate school and gotten my master's degree, and now here I am by myself playing Raft again. My goal for this video is pretty simple. It's going to be an entire Let's Play of Raft, and I mean that genuinely. I'm not going to use any of my speedrunning hacks. I'm not going to try and beat the game using any of the weird techniques that I like to do in my other videos. I'm just going to play the game. One of the other main things that people tell me in my comment section is that they love my voice, and I'm glad that you do, because it's one of the few things that I can't change about myself. Although I suppose I could. I have a voice changer, but that's besides the point. Again, I'm really glad that you do like my voice, and I want you to treat this as kind of a podcast. If you like my videos to go to sleep, fantastic, then maybe this is the video for you. But if you just like seeing calm Raft gameplay, and you want to relax with me, that's great too. Again, I have played quite a lot of Raft, and that means I know pretty much everything about the game. Anyways, we're about to come up on our first island, and it looks like we got what I like to call sunken pillars, because it's got those 2 big sunken pillars over there. So we're gonna go diving and get ourselves a few resources. Well, with my luck being what it was, I forgot that sunken pillars is one of the 2 islands that if you get your raft on first, it can get stuck here. So I think my raft will eventually bump itself out that way with the right wave action, but for now Jeremiah's just gonna stay here. So that's fine. I can actually use this time because Jeremiah is a little distracted and grab myself some extra resources while my raft stays here. But I am going to have to waste some of my early plastic here and make a paddle so that I can get my raft out a little bit further to make this a little bit easier. Now I did say that I specifically wouldn't be using any of my speedrun exploits, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to use some things that I try and tell other players to do. Like one of the things here is I'm going to make a paddle right away, because paddles are great. Paddles make life a lot easier in this game. Fun fact, when I first started streaming this game, I called a lot of my followers over on Twitch my paddle gang, because I love the paddles in this game. I think they're hilarious, and also they happen to be one of the best movement techs out there. So if you're speedrunning the game, you actually spend a lot of time just going in between islands and paddling. So I called them Paddle Gang because they hung out with me while I was paddling between islands, and that's something that's kind of stuck with me. Now I just need to get a slight distance away from the island so that I can anchor my raft and swim back to it easily without having to put in too much time or effort. Alright, that should do it. Alrighty, let's go. One of the other things about being so good at Raft is that I actually have all of these islands fully memorized in terms of what resources they have and where those resources are. And that's mostly from the fact that I speedrun the game, because knowing what islands have certain resources can really save you a lot of time when you're running. And I'm also the kind of person who likes to have information, and what's in my brain, it doesn't leave, which means that I'm not exactly the kind of person who replays games super frequently, mostly because it's really hard for me to enjoy a game once I know everything. And while that kind of knowledge may have helped me grow a Raft-based YouTube channel, it can also be a hindrance because there are certain games that I would love to revisit, but I know that my reaction to them can never be genuine a second time around because I will remember all of the plot twists and that kind of thing. So it's both a blessing and a curse. One of the downsides of this particular island is that all of the nice resources are fairly deep in the water, which means there is a lot of up and down to get everything that I want, but that's nothing just a little time can't solve, and I don't have to rush myself here. So we're going to take our time, get everything we want, and then I'll see you back on the raft once I've gathered everything. Alrighty, I've gathered everything I wanted off of the island, and that was a pretty good haul, I would say. I definitely have enough to make myself 2 smelters, I still have 2 stacks of wood, and I got a little extra sand that we can use to make an advanced purifier later on. Now, I know that the instant I get back on my raft, Jeremiah's going to have something to say about it, so I'm going to try and gather a few extra pieces of plastic quickly before I do so, and that way we can make ourselves a bonus foundation right away. Also because it's decently easy to jump over Jeremiah. He's a little predictable. Alright, that should be enough plastic for me. And then we can unanchor ourselves and get moving again. Now I do need to make myself a grill, considering that I don't have much in the way of food. I do have enough for that, so we'll put it on the safest foundation we have and start cooking some of our potatoes. I just need to remember that these are my original 4 foundations right here, so that way I know where to build off of later. Oop, I got my first blueprint. Nice. And yeet. From whence you came. Oh, and I got the next blueprint too. That was fast. And we'll eat that one back in too. Oh, I suppose I also have all of my materials to make my wet bricks, so I should get those down and drying. I'm gonna make 13 of them, which is enough for 2 smelters. So I just need to dry these out really fast. Suppose I should also probably get a water purifier going, considering that's looking a little low. But I want this plastic. And it floated right on past my hook. Little rude. There we go. And that should be literally the perfect amount of plastic to make a purifier. And my cup. It's almost like I've played this game before. Now we just keep on hooking in materials while we wait on those. Hi Jeremiah, how's it going? And just like that, we have a stable supply of food and water. So we'll be totally fine for the rest of our playthrough. Ooh, I see an island off of my peripheral vision. It looks like it's Melon Hill, so we're gonna take a quick trip over there. See, this is one of those things that paddles are great for. And this should put me on the perfect trajectory to end up close to the island, but not so close that Jeremiah will be a problem, which is exactly what we want. Oh, did you just eat my corner? That's rude. It's okay. Nothing we can't fix with a few triangles right now. I'm using triangles right now because they're cheaper, and that way when he eats my edges, I'm not losing out on too much before I want to gather all of the plastic that I want for my actual foundations that we'll keep later on. For now, this is just a platform to survive on, but I do intend on turning it into a real home. Oh, and my bricks are starting to dry right on cue. How lovely. So I'm gonna make my research table and plop that down on my raft really fast. And then we can get ourselves our first smelter by researching the stuff we already have. I do need to make a few nails though. And then we do this. And then I have my smelter unlocked. So we're gonna make 2 of those right away. And then I can get started on smelting up the metal so that I can work on my long-term foundations. We're gonna get these nice and fueled. And we're gonna start on our metal ore right away. And we're nice and close to the island. This is about exactly where I want my raft to be. And like I said, we have enough to make ourselves a throwable anchor right away too. So we're gonna do that as well. And we'll plop that right here. And I think I already have enough to research a small crop plot as well. So if I make myself a small crop plot like so and plop that under my research table, the seagulls can't get to it. And I can grow the 3 potatoes that I currently have to double my food output because I have a few baked potatoes ready to go. So if I take the water out of my purifier and water my crops, then by the time I come back to my raft, these should all be fully grown and we should be good to go. And I don't need to worry about having water on me because I called this island Melon Hill for a reason. And for now, I don't really have a use for more sand and clay, so I'm going to skip over them on this island. I very well may want to gather more later on in the game, but for now it's just inventory that I need for other things. Ooh, that's actually a really good crate. I got double bolt and hinge out of that, which if I were speedrunning, that would be one of the best possible outcomes. But we're not speedrunning here, so we're going to take it as the blessing it is, and continue harvesting the island as per usual. Oh, and I can see another island in the... Is that a plane crash island? Wait a second. Well, it is in fact a plane crash island. So consider that lucky, I guess. Fantastic. And I can pick up this pilot's helmet, which will be my new hat for now, because everyone needs a fancy little hat. And we can't forget this wooden crate in the back of the plane, which that gave me glass, another bolt, and a metal ingot. So I've gotten some very lucky loot boxes here. The sad thing is there's not really a lot else to worry about on the plane crash island. There is a poison puffer here, but I don't have any kind of weapon to kill it with. So we're just going to ignore this and get back to our raft here. Now I have plenty of metal in me now, and I can continue to smelt a lot more as we go, which will be very, very useful for us. So I'm going to do that. Oh, Jeremiah. What are we going to do with you? Ooh, and I got my first decoration package. Let's see what we get. Rug. Honestly, I think rugs are the most broken item in Raft, so I'm not opposed to that. Plus, they make great decorating objects. Jeremiah, do you ever think about the consequences of your actions? I think we both know the answer to that is no. I've also been farming resources for a little while now, and I've decided that I want to go for a Sea of Thieves brig as my raft build this time around. I've previously constructed both the sloop and the galleon, so this feels like a natural addition to my collection. Plus, people always say that my builds aren't survival friendly, so I'm going to prove them wrong and do it in a survival playthrough. Now, I want the front of my raft to be an odd number so that the stern can be centered and the bowsprit can be in the middle. But beyond that, I'm pretty sure I can just do whatever I want. So I'm going to go for a 5x10 raft base, and we'll see how that feels. So if these are my original 4 foundations right here, then I'm going to make that one there. So this is already 4 across. And we'll make this line the center since it's already there. So then this one would eventually have to be removed and replaced. And if I'm going to make these 4, it's going to be 10 wide. That means we need to build out 3 in front. So 1, 2, 3. Or we need to do 4 on either side. Yeah, 4 on either side. I could do math. And we're going to fortify all of these right away since I know that I want to keep them. And then another 4 out this way. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I ran out of planks. 4. So then I just have to slowly work on filling in my interior and getting the shape right, and we'll be good to go. We're in a place where I'm seeing 2 islands in front of me, so I'm going to paddle out to be in between them and then anchor so that I can harvest both islands without Jeremiah aggroing on me when I'm on either one of them. I know that Jeremiah's right there, but I'm willing to bet that I can make it to this island before he kills me. Because I'm just that good. That's 1 bite, our first bite. And he misses the second one because Jeremiah's a loser. So I'm going to make it to the island just fine. Then I can run over here and climb up here to grab the melons. And we can see the lovely beginnings of our raft over there. And now I'm free to just harvest this island without fear of him trying to bite me. Let's see what we get out of this loot box. Oh, pretty good. A hinge and some vine goo. I'll take that. Alright, I've gotten everything that I want off of this particular island, so I'm going to go back to my raft, and then we'll go do the second island. Alrighty, do we think I can make it over to that island before Jeremiah eats me? Only one way to find out. The answer is yes. Yes, I can. Whoopsies, I broke my hook, so it's time to go back to my raft. And I'm officially done with my old purifier, so goodbye. I'm also going to treat myself to a better grill, because goodness knows the old one is pretty inefficient. Yeet. And I see that there is an island right there, but we're not going to go to it because I'm not really hurting for any island resources right now. So instead I'm just going to focus on gathering up flotsam. And our first large island just spawned right there. So I finished fleshing out the rectangle shape that'll be the base of our raft, and that means I need to figure out how I want to do the bow. And I'm pretty sure that I want to do it with just 2 layers of triangles here. So we'll go across like this, and then meet up over here. Then we do 1 more over here. Maybe, and I'm mirroring my wood direction. And I think we do that, and then I can fortify all of this. Oh, get rejected. And now I have a fully fortified exterior of my raft, minus this 1 piece that I'm still waiting for Jeremiah to eat. There you go. Finally eating the 1 piece that I needed you to eat. Thank you, Jeremiah. So now I've got the full base floor of my raft filled in, and that means I need to start working on the actual shaping to make this into the brig from Sea of Thieves. I found this really handy 3D model online. I'm going to use this as a reference because it's a lot easier than getting a ton of screenshots from the game and trying to recreate the same raft from that. So let's get started on what I think is going to be the bedroom right now, and that's going to be on the very back of the raft. So my first step is going to be to add a layer of half walls here, because curve shapes are really hard to do in Raft because of the way that Raft is. So we're just going to do this to try and give the appearance of some curve without actually having to curve anything. I also really want those 2 small windows that are in the back. And we could do this the generic way of just using the established windows in the game, which honestly might be the best bet here, but I want to see if I can make something work really fast. So if I use a combination of these triangles, both the normal one and the upside down one, you can actually put them in the same place. So if I do this on either side, like so, then I can end up with these 2 small portholes, which I honestly don't know if that'll work because that would require me placing another triangle here. Okay, so normal windows it is, but we tried it. Plus the windows are square, so I think this will look better anyways. Window, window. Yeah. Just for a little bit of extra dimension along the sides here. Because, yeah, we'll just use this triangle here and here. and then this one there. And there we go. We got a little porthole off the side, and that gives it a little extra oomph on that side as well. After taking a look at it from out here a little bit further, I don't think I like having this platform, so I'm actually going to destroy all of this and just build it directly on top of this roof, which will waste a few materials, but honestly I think it'll be worth it in the long run. I think this is a pretty good base for us. I also put in a few extra pillars along the backside for decoration, which we can add in with layers of paint later. But for now, I think that's a pretty good start to our back. And that means that I can just go ahead and fill in some of my walls with half walls. I did specifically leave these two as markers of where my original foundations were, and that means that I know that this space right here will probably need to be either a door or a ladder, and I might just do one of each on either side to make it nice and even, but this way we have a way to get back onto our raft once I fill in the walls, and also the ladder is more accurate to the actual game, so we can do that on this side over here. So now that I've got my rough shape figured out, I want to start with my first deck to make it easier to get up and down between levels, and also so that I can place the story equipment that I know I need. And to do that, I'm going to show you my favorite building technique. If you've been a long-term viewer of mine, you'll know this, but you want to get these half wooden windows that only cost 1 plank to make. And we take these, and I know that I want to fill in these 2 squares right here. So I'm going to build in up 2 levels. And what that allows me to do is I'll take my half wooden floor, and then I can place this all around where this placement allows me to go. And then I'll fill all of this in with half floors. And then as soon as I destroy this, I get my 1 plank back, and my floors stay floating, which means that I don't have to waste all of my resources on horizontal pillars, and this stays nice and clean and it stays floating. So this is what I use to fill in all of my floors and all of my builds. So after spending a bit more time gathering resources and going through all of my smelting materials, I came up with a bit of an interior layout that I might change. I'm not sure I like it quite yet, but I'm thinking this will end up being the bedroom in here. This will be some kind of kitchen. I also discovered that I could break this to get easier access to water for my purifier. And then back here, we can be the industrial area. I did specifically leave these 3 as collection nets because then I can place my engine right here later on. So I did leave it with a little bit of space intentionally. And right now it looks a bit weird. And I ran out of wood to build the rest of the top. So it is very much a flat box right now. But that's okay because we can fix it later. But with that being said, I did want to make my way towards the radio tower because we can keep building up our raft as we go, and I do want to do the story. So I am going to make everything that I need for the receiver and antenna, which I have unlocked via those blueprints. So if I go in here, I think I need to make a circuit board. I think that's what I haven't done yet. Let me do that really fast. There we go. And if I make one of these bad boys really fast and research that, then I will have the receiver and antenna, and we can get started on our little story journey. And I know that I don't have anything down right now, but for now I'm going to hazard on putting each of my antenna in the corner like so, and then our receiver kind of there-ish. And just for now, I'm going to plonk that right there. We'll move it later on. I just need a couple more planks to get the receiver, so I'm going to hook those in really fast. And just like that, we get our receiver. And grab a battery to power it. I know that I have plenty of plastic and scrap downstairs. We'll just grab those really fast. Perfect. Grab a receiver. I think that'll go right here-ish. That makes sense to me. And then we can grab this, do that, and the radio tower just spawned in. Okay, perfect. Place down a sail really fast temporarily. Just point it this way, and we're on our way to the radio tower. I'm going to keep gathering resources in the meantime, and then I will see you once the radio tower is in sight. We're about halfway to the radio tower. A quick update. There's a whale. That's all. I was just coming up to hook up some more resources, and you know what I saw out of the corner of my eye? There it is. That's the radio tower. Perfect, we're almost there. In the meantime, I did manage to get enough resources to finish off what I think will be the rest of the base. Again, this is mostly based off of that 3D model that I found, so it may not be perfectly accurate, but there's only so much we could do in Raft as a medium. I'm going to do the exact same thing with the radio tower that I did with the other islands. I'm going to get pretty close to it, but not super close, and then I'm going to anchor using the fancy anchor that I put down over here. And then I'm going to swim for the island. Jeremiah's going to follow me, but as soon as I get over here and get on the island, then he's going to swim back to my raft. And then I won't have to worry about him as I try and do the underwater parts of this island. There we go. And just like that, I'm on the radio tower. And Jeremiah's gonna head back over to our very boxy looking raft. It always looks kind of stupid from the distance, but that's okay. It'll look better as we get more masts down and that kind of thing. Alrighty, then let's just do the radio tower. This location is super small, so I am gonna try and grab literally everything. I've also heard all of the notes about 40 billion times, and there's no way to prevent them from auto-playing, which is a little annoying, honestly. But it's okay, because we can just close out of them instantly as we pick them up. All right, that's already all of this level done. So let's go up here, grab the crate that is in this room. Just like that. May as well do the underwater parts now because we're here. So we'll come grab this briefcase, which is a note. And then from here, we grab this crate. And then this is just extra resources down here. I'm going to pick it up because they sometimes give me a lot of planks, and I use a lot of planks while I'm building. And then there we go. That's actually a really good crate. And then we can climb up through the rest of the radio tower and do the rest of the location. We'll grab our headlight blueprint right there, grab this note. Grab that crate. Then we just run around here. I suppose we can do it the intended way and not the speedrun thing. Again, look at our very stupid boxy boat. Then we go around here, over to this. Grab this note right there. And around and up to the top of the tower. That's literally all the radio tower is. Very, very simple story location. So let's grab that. We'll say hi to Tala, because why not? And we'll grab this, very importantly, the blueprint for the recycler in that crate. I'm just going to leave Tala hanging, and we're going to go straight back down to our boat. Whee! Perfect. Alright, so now that we're back on our raft, I can go ahead and punch in the code for the next island, which in our case is 2448. Oh, and it's like directly in front of us. That's actually really nice. So just angle our sail, lift up our anchor, and start making our merry way over there. In the meantime, I am going to place down a recycler and try and get as many trash cubes as I can, because I really, really want to unlock detail planks so I can fill in the spaces behind my ladders, as well as get a start on our bowsprit, which will help this look less boxy. And just like that, there it is. Alright, let's get ourselves parked, and then get onto the ship, and then we'll just do the location. Ooh, and I unlocked the bathtub, which is the best item. Now we can get over to the boat. Jeremiah will still be lurking around, because he likes to do that. But I may as well grab the part that's over. I think it's over here. It's on one of the sides. We may as well grab this one while we're here, because, you know, we're here. Now I don't have to come back out for it later. Then we just wiggle ourselves back onto the boat. And I brought plenty of food and water with me, so I don't ever have to go around. Alright, I said I'm not doing any speedrun tech here. We're going to play the location normally. The downside is that I do have the location of literally everything memorized, so I am going to go fast in that regard, but that's because I don't have to look up where anything is. I just get to, you know, do it fast. I also didn't bring any weapons, so I'm going to hope that the lurkers aren't too obnoxious. I also always have my shadows turned off, because sometimes they're just annoyingly dark. I don't think it needs to be as dark as it is, and so turning shadows off just makes it brighter, which also makes it easier to record because it's easier for you guys to see. Again, I have the location memorized, so it's not like I'm missing out on anything or the atmosphere of the experience. I don't even know why I'm bothering to gather the plastic, but we will take the gas tank. Originally, this was the only location that Olaf was mentioned on, and it does establish him as a really bad guy, but it is the only place where he was mentioned in the original version of the story before Chapter 3 came out, and then he became the big bad guy for the rest of the game. But you know, you live and you learn. Then we come back over here, unlock this door. Say hi to our first lurker. That actually jump scared me so badly the first time I played this game. I used to hate lurkers because they freaked me out. Oh yeah, I forgot that he chases me. Did I forget to grab the bolt cutters? That's fine, they're just right there. We can get rid of that. Hi lurker. Bye lurker. Get wrecked, little lurker. And we're gonna open this door for posterity. That lurker will eventually return to his normal aggro range. But in the meantime, I can grab this mechanical part right here, and these bullets, and then we go around this way, because I'm pretty sure the 4-digit code is right back here. There we go. Alrighty, like I said, back down, because we're doing this the right way. Hello, lurker. Goodbye, lurker. Stand back here, run around the lurker again, because I'm lazy. Lurkers don't actually do all that much damage, and so I can keep taking hits from them if I really want to. Not saying I do, but it is pretty easy to avoid them. Plus, they just respawn so fast. Does that give me the key for this store up here? I can never remember the right order for this location, because the speedrun strats for it are just so incredibly simple. And over to here, open this door, grab the green key, say hi to our pack of lurkers that we brought with us, and go back upstairs all the way up, which involves going over here. And there we go. That unlocks this door. There's only one lurker in this room, and he's right there. And I can come over here and grab those. And I'm pretty sure that's everything that I need to finish off the rest of this. And by pretty sure, I do mean pretty sure. I'm not 100% certain, but that's fine. We'll find out. And then we come all the way back down here to this room, where we can probably make both of these, I think. Do this one, 5 mechanical part. There we go. There's our bombs. That actually unlocks the top. And I don't think I actually need to go into the other room, because all it has is a safe and one note, and I don't really care about the notes. if we're being honest. So I'm just going to ignore that. And we're just going to go straight up, actually. So that means we just go over here and over here. Then we go up this staircase all the way in this bomb. And we let it explode. Kablooey. And just like that, we are in the final room here. Completely legit. Grab both our blueprints and grab the code to Balboa as well as all of the extra goodies around here. What did I just eat? We're going to open this door and return back to our lovely little boxy raft. And that's the next thing I want to take care of after I get my engine and my steering wheel down, is I want to go start finding some trading posts on large islands and level up my trading, so that way I can eventually start getting some detail planks and we can start fleshing out this little boat of ours here. Alright, and like I said, I left these 3 collection nets for the exact reason that now I can just remove them and I can place my engine exactly where that was. So we're going to put it right there, just like that. And then our engine is in a nice place. We can add fuel right here. I think by default it is facing the other way, which does mean that I need to change direction, which is a little bit finicky with this. And is one of the disadvantages of doing it the way that I do it. But you know, that's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. And I did get 1 canister of biofuel, didn't I? I did. So let's just do that. And then as soon as I turn on my engine, it should get going. But in the meantime, I want my steering wheel. I'm going to remove my sail for now because my sail doesn't actually help me with anything. And I'm pretty sure that the steering wheel on the brig would go in the center here. So I'm actually going to remove my receiver and then place that there. And potentially controversial decision, but I'm going to... Actually, no, that's too close. You know what? We'll put it there for now. If I like the placement, if I don't like the placement later on, I can change it. Honestly, you know what? We're going to off-center our steering wheel. And we're going to center... We're going to kind of do it like as a 3-tile system to make it all centered just because of the way that raft works. So that we have roughly 1.5 tiles on both sides. Again, I can play around with the more exact placement later because that one's locked into the building grid. But that'll be good enough for now. And that should be good enough to take me to Balboa. So I'm going to plug in the code for Balboa and start heading that way. But again, I do want to go visit some large islands in the first place here. So we're off in the direction of Balboa. If I see a large island or if one pops up on the receiver, then I'm going to go to it. But until then, I'm just going to use whatever resources I can gather and start laying out a bit more, probably the mast, to make this boat a little more alive and a little bit less of a box. Oh, we got a green dot on the receiver, which means that's where I'm going. We'll see Balboa in a little bit, but first things first, I need my hands on some detail planks. Ooh, and because we're close to Balboa, it looks like it's going to be an evergreen island. It being an evergreen island does mean that I should probably see if I have everything unlocked to make a sweep net, because that would actually be quite helpful here. So I could start getting my hands on some bees. And I should probably make a shovel too, because I know that there's going to be dirt, and I would like to start getting some grass plots so eventually I can get some animals. So all of that would be helpful for me to get now. Alright, sweep net and shovel acquired. Ooh, let me grab my trash cubes. Can't forget those. Trash cubes, sweep net, and shovel all acquired. Let's go grab this large island's resources. Oh, my first swarm of bees. Come here, bees. Wep. Okay, that's 4 bee jars. Oh, come here. Come here. Come here. Sometimes it glitches. It won't let you do it again. Okay, there we go. That's 4 more bee jars. And a little bit of extra honeycomb for the road. Wow, these islands are actually great for bees. I knew they were good, but I didn't think they were this good. Nice. So that's already 22 bee jars off of 1 island. That's actually really good. And there we go. And I can buy my first bits of bait here. So I'm going to buy all 5 of these here. And I don't think I want anything else from tier 1 trading. Because again, what I want is the detail plank, and that's tier 3. So I do need to go out fishing to level up my trading. But I'm going to finish grabbing everything I can find off of this island first. Alright, I think I got everything off this island. Let's see if there's any more large islands around. Doesn't look like there are. So let's just go to Balboa, do that island, and then try and find more large islands to get them to spawn in. Along the way, I've also been slowly making out what I want the rest of the raft to look like. So I did add this little area based on what the brig's steering wheel area looks like. And I feel like this is a pretty okay representation. Oh, Balboa just loaded. And then I laid out where I think the masts are going to go and roughly how tall they're going to be. Because the brig has 2 masts and one is a little bit taller than the other. And then I'll work out the sails as we go. But for now, I feel like this is a good scaffolding to work with. And there's Balboa. Wouldn't you know it? I got myself nice and close to this particular entrance. So this is the one we're going to use. Let's go do Balboa Island. I can't remember exactly how many berries I need to distract Mama Bear, but I think it's 12. But I know that there's plenty of wild berries around, so it should be easy enough to just go grab them off of these bushes. Because that's already 4 done. I also haven't bothered making a weapon this entire playthrough so far, so, you know, this is the ultimate pacifist run. I mean, if we come up this little hill, we find all of the creepy children, you know, so that's fun. Probably one of the most cursed locations in the entire game. Specifically this one. Like, those two are fine. This one has a creepy head. But that one's creepy. That one's just straight up creepy. If you guys haven't seen the concept art for what this location was supposed to be, it's terrifying. Just trust me. But we're going to steal the light bulb because we love Errol. And then Mama Bear is right down here. I'm going to check the berry box and see how many berries I need to make Mama Bear not angry at me. How many wild berries do you need? 5. Oh, so I'm literally 1 berry short. Okay, let's go find a wild berry really fast. And this bear will be a little angry at me, but this bear is nothing I can't outrun. Yeah, hello, bear. I would like your dirt, but I also don't really want to contend with that, bear. Oh, hi. Oh, that was a little rude. I'm trying to get out of your space. Eventually their aggro range will take them out of here. Hopefully not before it kills me, though. Oh, my. Just keep running. Just keep running. Well, that's a little unfortunate. Fortunately, you don't lose story items. Just a little food and water, and we're totally okay otherwise. Now we can go say hi to Mama Bear, and nothing else should happen. Honestly, the first time I played Balboa Island, I got so incredibly lost because there are so many different turnarounds on this island that you can easily get sucked into. And so I have complete sympathy for everyone who gets lost on this island, because that was 100% me. But fortunately now I have a pretty good grasp on it and all of its turns and twists, so I should be able to just make my way back over to Mama Bear without issue. And just like that, we're back at the creepy children, which means that Mama Bear is just right down here. There she is. I'm just running along the edge to make sure that she doesn't try and come for me too early. And then if I put the berries in the box, she'll go for those and be way too interested in the berries to worry about me going into her cave, which is fantastic news, because I need her machete. Alright, and I don't need the machete blueprint, just the actual machete itself. And then we go this way. And for anyone unfamiliar, this is Bobby's Maze. You can see it says really faintly, Bobby's Maze, no trespassing. This is the maze. Very complicated. Very hard. You can also open this locker, because why not, and grab the saw. Which that doesn't help with anything besides getting a single achievement that I got like 3 years ago. But you know, still fun, because why not? And we come up here to the next tower. This is the one where you're supposed to throw rocks at it, but I find the hook to be a lot easier. Why is there a bear here? I've never had a bear aggro on me here, and I have played this game like a lot. Why is there a bear here? Oh my. Let's see if we can get rid of this bear's aggro by doing something a bit unconventional. Because you can Skyrim horse a lot of this game. That worked. Oh my goodness. I think that should put me out of its aggro radius because it doesn't know what to do if I'm on this little scrap of land. So I'm going to wait for it to go further away. See, I feel like this is a good time to remind you that I have both the speedrun world records in any % normal and any % hard, which means that I have played this game on the hardest difficulty so many times. Like, so many times. I don't think I've literally ever had a bear attack me on this bridge before. So that's the first time. Alright, the bear's gone. But it does mean that this is the first tower we turn on. And we can pick up the blueprint for the fuel pipe, because we're here. There are a few other notes in here, plus this one instance of the lucky cat that you fish out. Alright, we're headed over to the mountain tower next. It's gonna start raining, because of course it is. At least I feel like this is the one location where rain is somewhat atmospheric. Alrighty, and this will take us directly to the next tower. Again, I wish I had brought a shovel with me, so I could pick up some extra dirt. Although I'm not sure any dirt spawns in this particular cave. Oh, it does. And here we go. We'll pick up the wrench, again for fun and profit. Grab the blueprint for the fuel tank. and turn on that generator. So that's 2/3 of them done. And I'm pretty sure that, yeah, this one has a secret chest up top. Right there. That will pick up. Got a free paddle. I know this is technically a speedrun trick, but I think it's funny, and I cannot be stopped, so, the big eat continues to be the big eat. And then we just go this way. And we can just go over here and do the Poison Lake parkour. Which this is pretty simple parkour, honestly. It's just a series of jumping. Oh, I say as I immediately miss. You didn't see that. Nothing happened. And there's the last relay tower right there. Go all the way up and flip our last relay station. I'm going to stop by the ranger station really fast. That's over here. Just so we can fix Errol. Because he deserves it. There you go, Errol. I do think it's one of the most ominous notes in the game that just says, I think it says murder and it's cut off. A little terrifying if you ask me. And I also wanted the blueprint for the biofuel refiner, because that's important to have. And then I can just go back to my raft, and that is Balboa Island done. I have successfully made it back onto my boat. We've got our code for the next location. Alrighty, so I'll start headed towards Caravan Town. Along the way, I'm going to stop at any large islands that I can, and we'll just do that for now. I am also rapidly realizing that I have a storage problem, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time fixing that using one of my preferred methods, which is actually using these tables right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a row of chests, then you take your table and you hang it from the wall directly above where that chest is, and then I can place another 3 chests on top of that, and then we can take our chests and make another row of chests on top of this table. And then you do the same thing again with the next table. This one has to be a little bit higher up because of the way that the half walls work. But then you just do your final row chest right here. And just like that, you have a pretty compact storage system that'll hold plenty of items, but doesn't take up too much foot space. Also, we did get lucky with another spawn of a large island, although we're pretty close to Caravan Town. I am going to go to that large island first, though. And although I may not have access to the advanced biofuel refiner yet, I am going to wire up my engine as if I did. So I did replace this piece with a window, and that means that I can then do this to lay out the basics of where my pipe is going to go, because eventually I'm going to put my biofuel refiner right here between these two. So if I get my pipes down now with another like that, it should connect perfectly right there, and that means that this pipe is all laid, and then I can work around it. Solid. I've just arrived at another large island. This one is desert themed, so I'm going to grab my trash cubes and all of my fish that I stored earlier. And we're going to go buy the rest of our bait, and I'm also going to stay here and fish up the rest of the tier 2 fishing that I can do, just so that we don't have to travel to as many large islands. This way, between this island and another one that's already loaded on my receiver, I should be able to unlock tier 3 trading. Bad news, I forgot that this particular large island variant actually requires a zipline to get over there, which is incredibly stupid and a little annoying. So I'm going to head over to that other large island that was on the receiver, and we're just going to pretend this island never existed. Alrighty, take 2. Let's go get ourselves up to tier 2 trading at the very least. The trading post on this particular island is always right over here, and that makes it quite convenient to get to. Also, normal goat. And that means that I can just come in here, sell all of the fish that I caught already. And I only need to buy 3 of these, which is unfortunate. But then I should be able to unlock tier 2 with this. So I'm going to sit on the beach and fish for a while, and then hopefully finish unlocking everything. And just like that, I've caught the rest of my fish with the 12 bait I just bought, so we can go ahead and sell those to the post that's right here. And that does unlock tier 2, which means that I can then come in here and buy all of this. And repeat. Also, sitting up here does give me a good view of what my ship looks like, and I do think this mast height is a good idea. I also remember that I'm going to need to farm an absurd amount of metal to pull off what I want to pull off with this build, so I'm going to spend a while doing that and fishing up here, and I'll see you when I go to the next large island, because that's where it's going to matter. I got to the other large island, and of course it is this one, where the trading post is all the way at the top. And that guy's in the way. And that guy is my least favorite thing in all of Raft, and I'm going to have to deal with him the whole time on the way up. So let's go do it. Sorry guys. Good news is that I was able to finish fishing up all of the rest of the fish that I think I need. I might have to buy just like a little bit more bait, but it shouldn't be too bad. I actually got lucky with the spawns here, and the boar didn't even spawn, so it's just the screecher. I don't know if the screecher's even seen me. So I might have had the world's luckiest run up the mountain. And that just means that I have to get up to this trading post right here and hand in all of the fish that I've caught so far. I need, each one of these is worth 100, so I need 7 more, which means that I need to buy 2 of these. Does that leave me with enough to get a detail plank? I need 2 more trash cubes. Okay, I'm gonna go back down to the boat. Oh no. Okay, we're gonna go in here. Just a little bit. Never mind. It's fine. Also, did you know you can stand inside of the trading post? This door doesn't work. But I can stand here, and I can fish from here, because the game doesn't care that I can't see the ocean. So I'm gonna fish, then I'm gonna go get my trash cubes, and then I'm gonna come back, and we're gonna buy detail planks. That's the plan. And we're on our way back up with our stuff in tow, and here we go. Okay, so sell the fish I just caught, which should get me up to tier 3 trading. Perfect. And there we go. Detail planks unlocked, which means that I can finally build the raft the way that I want to. And I farmed a ton of metal. Oh my goodness, why do you always have to be here? Watch this. Oh yeah. Bird can't catch me because I'm too smooth. And I managed to farm a ton of metal, which means that I can just go directly to Caravan Town, and we can work on our raft in the meantime. Actually, before I head off to Caravan Town, I realized there was one more thing I should do while I'm at a large island. And that's find another particular friend of mine. Also, fun fact that the proper plural of fish can be both fish and fishes. You use fish for when it's all one species, and fishes for when they're different species. So, there you go. There we go. There's a fish we're looking for. 2 of them, actually. I'm gonna take out both. I think it takes 3 metal arrows if I can get them before it explodes. There we go. Yeah, 3 metal arrows. Nice. And then I should get all my arrows back, and the explosive goo, which is what I really want here. And then we can finally go off to Caravan Town, but for realsies this time. It's over this way. The best part about knowing all of Raft's weird things is that I can use certain fun glitches to make my life a little bit easier. And now we have a fully operational farm with all of our flower colors, and we get plenty of honey out of it too, so that's a nice bonus. And now I'm going to waste all of my planks making an absurd amount of detail planks so that I can close in some of the holes around my raft. And also we'll work on the bowsprit. But for now, I'm mostly going to focus on trying to make walls, because that seems like a good idea. And while it may not be perfect, especially because I didn't do the best job, at least the wall's now filled in on this side, and I can probably fill in this gap a little bit. Then it's time to make the bowsprit. As for the bowsprit, as far as I can see, on specifically the brig, it doesn't really go out at too much of an angle. I've always found detail planks a little bit infuriating to work with because they aren't super easy to control, but I'm gonna hope that I can make it work for this. And this is just gonna be a guide here, and I'm gonna hope that I can get it at roughly a straight line. And then I can use those 2 planks as a guide to try and build it out into more of like a 3D shape. I also have a lot of people who ask how I bother doing the outside bits if I don't have creative mode on, and the honest answer is shark bait and a lot of willpower. Because then I just wait for Jeremiah to aggro on that. There he goes. Alright, and then I can come get a better look at it from the outside. I used to have a professor who would say if you can't tie a knot, tie a lot, and I feel like the same concept applies to using detail planks here. Because I may not get it right exactly, but if I use enough of them, I should get the general shape that I'm trying to go for, and that's good enough for me. You know, it may not be perfect, it might be a little bit messy, honestly, but at least it is there, and it is functional, and it gives off the rough idea that I want it to. And that's gonna have to be enough for me, I think. Because unless I spend all of my time just finagling this, trying to get exactly the right angle, you know, that still kind of looks a bit messy. But if we look at the wider side profile, obviously minus my little bit of scaffolding, I feel like that's about right. I feel like that works. And it'll really help once we get the rigging and the sails in to try and flesh out the shape a bit more. But we made it to Caravan Town, and you know what that means. Time to beat another story location. The best part about having speedrun Raft for so long is that I do know my way around all of the locations super well, even if I don't necessarily plan on using actual speed strats here. I do know all of the fastest ways up and down the islands, and I know where all of the puzzles start and I also know that you can do things like just jump up this. You know, because why not? This puzzle is also super simple. We just need to rotate a few pipes. I'm just going to spam this button a few times. And I think that should be enough to unlock the first zipline part down here. Oh yeah, first try. Good news is that I already have what I know I need for the next thing. I'm going to go launch Dedo's rocket really fast for funsies. Kablooey. Let's see if I can get there before it explodes. Well, slight miscalculation, but it doesn't really matter, because if you know. Oh, I'm not going to beat it. Alright. Hello, Major Tom. And we got the fireworks blueprint and our second zipline part, which means that I only need the third one. Also, I did make myself a little bit extra equipment. You know, make this just a tiny bit smoother. So from here, we just go over to this side of the island. Also, fun fact, there's a tiny bit of land right here that doesn't actually mesh. Like this little strip right here. I don't know if it'll even come through in the video compression, but it's a pet peeve of mine that that exists. So I thought I would share it with you, so now it could be a pet peeve of yours too. And then the final zipline part that we need is just all the way at the bottom of this, which honestly, if you have an oxygen bottle, you don't need to stop at the first one. You can just go every other little spot. And if you know where they are, it makes it even faster. I also remember that when I played through the story for the very first time, it took me forever to do like all of the story locations. I think the cruise ship, Novasagatan, took me like 3 hours the first time I played it. And my speedrun record for that location is now like 40 seconds. So that's a little bit of a time difference. But you know, you live and you learn. But we're already down to the bottom of this one, and this will be our final zipline part that we need. Plus the metal detector blueprint and the infirmary key, although the infirmary key is useless. Also, fun fact, if you go around this side of the final little oxygen area, there is a hidden safe back here. You can actually get a safe naturally. I think I can just go straight up and make it with enough oxygen to spare. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be fine. I can already see myself approaching the surface here. Alrighty, but we can come in here and grab our first zip line tool. Love that for me. I wish it would auto-equip. That'd be nice. And then we can just head straight over here to the infirmary. See, this is why you don't need the infirmary key. I have it, so I can just open the door and pick up this loot crate, but you don't need it. It's useless otherwise. I am gonna go back over to the main tower, though, so that I can zip line over to the mayor's office. Alrighty. Over here we go. And over to the mayor's office. Imagine if I had missed that jump. Would have been awkward, but I didn't. And here we go. So I think this should unlock battery charger. Perfect. Grab the mayor's hat, because you have to. And there we go. That is everything I needed to beat Caravan Town. So just like that, we're done with Caravan Town, and we can move on to Tangaroa. I can just barely see Tangaroa lurking in the distance, but I think I finally figured out how I want to do the sails. And that starts with making sure that I have all of my rigging set up on this sail first, before I can get down the first 2 sails. Which I know seems a bit counterintuitive, but just trust me, and I think this will work. The first step is to build up our mast as we have here, where I have a little bit of extra space. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here first and place my streamer on top because, you know, I like having a flag. And then the next step is going to be immediately to place down 2 zipline anchors on this side and see if I can get 2 down on the other side of the ladder as well, which requires a little bit of parkour, but should be doable. And then weirdly enough, I'm actually going to remove these pillars here. And it'll stay floating. I don't have any mods. This is vanilla. The way it works is basically the game interprets these as floating on the ladder hitbox. And so the ladder remains, and therefore the floating structures remain, which is actually the exact same mechanic that allows me to put my smelters like this. Because at one point in time, I had a half floor here, and I got rid of it because it pokes out too far. But it's the exact same thing where the game registers the hitboxes as colliding, and therefore it stays floating. So even though I'm going to remove all of these pillars, they were more scaffolding than they were really there to begin with. And the reason that I wanted them there is that eventually I can come through here and I can put my sail. If I put it on this horizontal pillar right there, it can go there. And then if I destroy the ones on this side, and I can put another sail right here. And then if I rotate these 2 to become parallel with each other, then they become one slightly longer than average sail. And that kind of bulks out this area, and I'll be able to attach those riggings later on. And then I can, of course, attach them down to this point as they are standing, because they're standing on these pillars. And I'm going to keep these pillars because they make the rigging look nice and wide. But we're basically going to carry that idea on over here, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently for this one. And after doing a bit of math for the taller one, we want about 4 half pillars or 2 full pillars in between this. So I do need to raise this one just a little bit to make the height work, because I want to fit 2 layers of sails here. So if I go up, I need to leave 1, 2, 3, 4. So at this one right here, this is where we're going to place our half pillar. Like that. And that leaves exactly 4 in between. And we want to leave 4 in between this one and where we put the crow's nest. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. And that does mean that I'm going to raise this up a little bit as well. Okay, so let's grab our half floors. Got to make sure they go the same direction. There we go. That's the crow's nest. I'm going to get rid of this random pillar because I feel like it's going to mess with my sail collision. All right, and we're gonna raise this by another half layer just to make sure that we have plenty of clearance and that it looks normal. And I can line this area with a nice fence. And that way we've got our crow's nest all figured out and laid out, like so. And then I can start coming down. I feel like it's easier to do it from the top down, weirdly enough. And I can place my sail right here. And if you are having collision issues like this, sometimes it's because just a tiny bit will be colliding with the crow's nest. And one of the things you can do to fix that is just plop down a few carpets, because carpets aren't real. And eventually, if you keep wiggling this, it will allow you to go through, especially if you have good wave action, because that changes the hitbox for some reason. I don't know why. I'm going to get some food, and I'm going to wiggle this like this until it shows green, and then I'm just going to click as soon as it does. And then I'll have two sails that look exactly like those ones. So eventually it'll look something like that. And if you are having issues getting something like this to work, you can always, of course, build another half layer up, and that'll always fix it if you don't want to use the carpets. Otherwise, you know, just keep wiggling, turn on wave action, and eventually it'll get there. Obviously, I'm not planning this build out ahead of time. Sometimes it also works better if you build the crow's nest afterwards. I don't know why it works better, but it does. But I'm not planning this ahead of time, so I'm just making it up as I go. This is my real building process. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing another 2 layers down. The reason it's 2 layers is because that's roughly the height of a sail, and you can always get it to ignore collision with just a little bit of wiggling and another carpet. So this will work eventually. Carpets fix everything. This is something I firmly believe in. Although on this layer, I don't actually want it to be here. I'm going to build up some temporary pillars right here. So we're going to do one full pillar and one here. That's because I want this bottom sail to be slightly wider. So that means I need this one to go right here. And if I just shift it slightly forward, there it goes. And that's because the top of it is no longer technically in line with the half pillar. And the game doesn't register it as being so. Yeah, so those ones are a lot easier to place. And then I can get rid of these pillars below. And I don't think these sails are going to quite connect. They're going to have a small gap in the middle. And that gap is something I want to get rid of. So I'm going to do a little bit of a curse technique. But it will work, and it'll fill in this gap, and we can place a sail right in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a half pillar right here. And I'm going to put a raised platform on top of that. Then I'm going to wiggle my way out top here. Whoopsies. And then from here, I'm going to put a half pillar right here so we're at the same height. And then a horizontal pillar. Okay, it flashes green when it's slightly further ahead. That works. Okay, then I can rebuild the structure around it. I think that'll be okay with the collision. And then I can destroy all of the scaffolding. Okay, that worked out a lot better than I thought it would. It took some finagling. But it works. So now if I rotate these sails into place, because weirdly enough, these legs don't actually have collision to them. So you can put them pretty much wherever you want. And then I can open it through the ladder. It's a little cursed, but it works. And I rotate this one back around like that. There we go. Especially after we get a layer of paint in, I think that'll look really good. But honestly, that's enough work on the raft for now. Tangaroa is literally like right over there. You can see it almost in my peripheral if I turn my vision. So let's go do another story island, and then I can do the rigging as we continue onwards. First step first, getting in. Wave action is actually really high right now, which does actually kind of make this part easier. Fun fact, you can get stuck above that grate. But for now, we're going to see how well I remember the bottom of Tangaroa. And the answer is, I think, pretty darn well right now, considering I just filmed the Beat Raft Without Swimming video, which did involve an explanation of why you can't do the basement of Tangaroa without swimming. So we're going to see if I remember everything that I said in that video. First things first, avoid the lurker. I just hate lurkers. Generator and storage area, but we're going to go into the cafeteria first. That lurker's already angry at me, which is great. Grab this generator part. I need to go grab that generator part right there, which is right through here with another lurker. These guys actually don't do much. They have about, I think it's 10 more health and they deal 5 more damage per attack. That or they have 50 more health and they deal 10 more damage per attack. I don't remember exactly which way the numbers scale, but that is the difference between the brown ones and the gray ones. It's really not much, and they drop exactly the same loot. So it's not worth it, is what I'm saying. And the final generator part. That means I can turn on these bad boys right here. Alrighty, it's been a while since I've done the crane puzzle, but I believe in me. I'm not going to go for the secret room because I don't need to. I know it's there. I know what's in it. Alright, that's a workable path. Again, I'm not going for the secret area. because I don't need to. I know it's there. There we go. I can come through here. I'm pretty sure I can fit through the gap anyways. And it gives me a bonus machete. You know what? I'm not upset about it. I'll take the free stuff. And we'll go this way. Which is definitely not a trap. And definitely doesn't open this doorway right here. And from here we can wait for the water to rise until we can get all the way up to the plantation. And that allows me access to this room. And here we come to the electrocuted plantation. Did I bring an axe with me? I didn't, so I can't grab any bananas. How sad. Alright, and then I can just go out to the surface. And we did it legit without having to float through the golf ball, so you know, I'll take it. This is part of the reason it's hard for me to do a normal Let's Play of this game, because I have played it far too much. And I know exactly where everything is, which makes it a little bit hard for me to pretend that I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I'm also, again, one of the top speedrunners for this game, which means that I not only know where everything is, I know how to do it exceptionally fast. I also want to say that someone made a map of all of the materials in Tangaroa and where to find them, including like the vending tokens, which is actually really nice if you're trying to just farm the location for vending tokens, because the vending tokens do respawn. And I just need a bit of duct tape, but I'm going to take a few vending tokens for fun and profit. This is genuinely one of my favorite apartments in Tangaroa. I love the unfinished art and everything. I love the fact that this is one of the few locations where it has personality built into some of the apartments. It's sad, but also kind of adorable in its own way. It also adds to why Raft's story is so tragic in the first place, and I don't think enough people really appreciate Raft's story. After running around for a little while, I'm pretty sure that I have all of the duct tape that I need. So let's go test my theory and make sure that I only needed a total of 12. If not, I have to run around and find 2 more, and that'll be fine. Unfortunately, this is the only spot in the game where you can get bananas and strawberries, which is really unfortunate. I feel like that would have been a great addition to the trading posts. But alas, they did not do that. I think? Yeah, we did it. Okay, that's all of them off. Perfect. My memory is correct. And that unlocks the elevator. Alright, and then that allows me to go through here. And then you can also hit the secret button. This just has a lot of good loot. And plus the elevator cassette, which you can't get anywhere else. This is a one-of-a-kind unique item. And then we're gonna go all the way up. And yes, we come across the very sad birthday party scene. Did you guys know that Raft was originally started in 2016? Kind of insane. It only came to Steam in 2018, which means that this game is like 10 years old now. Anyways, none of this party matters. I just like stealing some of the presents, specifically these extra vending tokens. And then from here, we can come out onto the patio, grab the extra vending tokens for fun and profit, and come up here, where this then leads through the broken window. And we can get onto the roof from up here, and zip line across using this. And then we just go up. I don't really care about any of the in-between floors, because all they have is a few vending tokens, and that really doesn't matter to me, if I'm being honest, in this particular playthrough. And we can just zip line our way across here. Nice. Up we go. Perfect. Around to the doors. Call the elevator up to us. This is floor 1. We're going up to floor 2. And then we can just enter the code, which I have memorized, because I'm a gamer. And I get the large storage blueprint that I'm not going to use. Which way are you launching? Behind me, apparently. Oh, no, over here. The first time I played this game, I actually didn't know that you were supposed to go to the bridge after you shot it off. And so I never actually picked up the code for Veruna Point in my very first playthrough. Which was at the time where the game ended, because I started playing when Chapter 2 was the end of the game. But obviously now Chapter 3 means that Utopia is the end of the game. And we'll get there. And then from here, we just drop in, grab the code to Veruna Point, grab the blueprint for the water tank, and a few extra goodies. We'll release Lane, because why not? And then I'm just going to go back to my raft and just plug in the code for Rhino Point, and we can work on the rigging in the meantime. You know, I was thinking about it, and as we're on our way to Veruna Point right now, since I just left Tangaroa, I'm thinking I might take this diagonal wall right here and push it back 1 square, because I was thinking that I've got my nice little storage system here, right, and this is eventually going to be a bedroom, but it's a little too big for me, and what I could do is I could take out these 3 squares right here, so starting where this one is, because the anchor doesn't really matter, and then make like the 3x3 square for the farm, but this would give me a nice place to put the electric purifier right there, especially if I replace this with a door and maybe do the ladder right here instead. Oh I'll play around with it. I'm gonna tear down a little bit of the interior, see what I like, and then make a decision. It also turns out that it's convenient that I picked up that extra titanium because I forgot that you need titanium to make the advanced water purifier. So it is good that we picked that up and I can just slap it in my smelters. And in the meantime, while we're waiting on all of my titanium to continue smelting, we can work on the rigging system for the boat, which is all of the roping that makes, ships look so intense. And I feel like adding this in will really help us. So I went ahead and did 2 on each side of this to connect, and those should connect up here and probably down here somewhere. I'm going to place down a few testers, see what I like about them, what I don't like, and then we can move them around. But I want to basically place these kind of all over the boat. So let's see if I connect up some ropes here, what it ends up looking like. The hazard with doing zip lines when you have a zip line tool is that sometimes you'll end up not clicking on the start dragging rope button and you will end up clicking on the start zip lining instead, and then you just end up going everywhere while you're just trying to connect all of your ropes. Like I promise, I do not want to be riding a zip line right now. And I think if I just place one more rope here down to this one, then we should be just about good to go for the rigging. I did rotate the sails to make the placement a bit easier, but then I can just obviously rotate them back. That's super easy to do. And also, because the sail hitbox rotates with the sail, you can always move it out of the way and then put it back later, which is kind of nice. But yeah, this is more or less what our rigging is going to look like here. And I feel like that already helps the ship aesthetic quite a lot, because it's... in some ways, you do want ships to be visually busy, because ships are, in fact, visually busy. And so once we add the outline and the detail planks on the outside, I feel like we'll really have made the brig from Sea of Thieves. At least as close as you can in Raft without making an entire custom hull out of detail planks. But I feel like the rigging really helps. And with that, Veruna Point is literally right there. So that's what we're going to do next. My plan for Veruna Point is pretty simple. We're going to use our little bowsprit here as a little jumping off point, and we're going to head straight over to this bit of land with the bird's nest so that Jeremiah doesn't follow me, because right now he seems a little chompy. There we go. Okay. And then from here, Jeremiah will reset his aggro back to my raft. Oh yeah. Now that we can see it from a distance, especially if I lower those sails, that looks a lot better. Part of the reason I hadn't done the brig before is because it doesn't have as interesting, like, a full shape as the galleon or the sloop do. Like, the external shape itself isn't as interesting. But I feel like that looks pretty darn good, considering our limitations in Raft. And especially, again, once I lower those sails, we add a ring of detail planks for some extra color and oomph. Yeah, we should be good. I feel like that'll look really good. Anyways, Veruna Point. So my plan here is I don't need to climb this tower at all until the very end. I'm just going to go around to where I know the entrance is, now that Jeremiah is not a problem. We can swim right in through here. Again, I will never make a claim that I'm surprised by anything in Raft ever again. Because I'm not. I've played this game plenty of times. I know pretty much everything about it. Which does mean that I have all of the light bulb locations memorized and that kind of fun thing. So it's not really a surprise for me, and that's perfectly okay. But in case you didn't know, these are air pockets. And specifically this one, if we come through this room right here, and then we go back around here, this one specifically actually has one of the grabber caches in it. Right here. And I am going to pick it up because I want the food. And I'll take the scrapbook. I feel like part of the magic of Raft is playing it for the first time and having to explore everything to learn where everything is. And I'm not going to fake having learned all of this previously, so we're just going to go through the locations. I'm going to get everything that I want, and we're going to keep focusing on mostly building up the raft, because I find that to be the most fun in the game. When that turns on that light, which disperses these jellies. Also, a long time ago, when I was writing the all notes video for how to find all of the notes in Raft, I actually planned specialized routes for all of the story locations so that I could be at the next note by the time the previous note finished. And when I was doing that video, I memorized all of these locations and their layouts so incredibly well, because I had to learn what all of the notes said and how long they took to read, and then navigate a route in between the notes so that I could be there by the time it finished and start the next note immediately. Because that video didn't really have a true voiceover. It was just like the notes reading themselves as I showed everyone how to get all of the notes. And that was like 2 years ago now, which is kind of insane to think about. I think I died in this room the first time I played it, and now I kind of just brute force it. Considering if you take 1 or 2 hits, it's really not the end of the world. But this gets us over close to the Grabber's Cache. I also remember seeing the concept art for Veruna Point for the first time, and seeing all of the horrid traps and not really understanding what they were for. And obviously this is what it came out to, and that's pretty cool to see. There's the Grabber's Cache. Nice. All I really need here is this, but I will of course take the headlight blueprint, even though we're not going to use a headlight at all. Alright, let's go see a Rhino Shark. So I think in order to do this, I actually have to open the door. I do love all of the oxygen stopping points around Veruna Point. It is quite convenient if you don't know what you're doing. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the rarest achievement in Raft is still the Hunting 50 Anglers achievement. And don't get me wrong, that one is a pain. Because anglers only spawn on Temperance and Veruna Point, and I think a grand total of 11 of them spawn between both locations. So getting that specific achievement was a huge grind, because you just have to go back and forth between the locations, or save reload, which also works. But honestly, I don't think that one was one they should have added to the PC version. Although I recognize that they added it, I think they removed it from the console versions, if I'm not mistaken. Because the Steam version of Raft has 104 achievements, and I'm pretty sure that the console versions have like 28, which means I think they removed a lot of the repetitive ones, like kill this 50 times kind of thing. And honestly, I kind of envy you console players, because I 100%ed Vanilla Raft. And that was an endeavor in and of itself. Also, fun fact, in certain of these vents and these little air pockets, you can find healing salve if you're taking too much damage. Okay. Yoo-hoo, big summer blowout over here. Thank you. Alright, come here, Sharky Sharky. Nice. I was also super excited to see what the speed strats for the Rhino Shark fight were going to be. And it turns out they're super boring. Because all you need to do to fight the Rhino Shark is not fight him at all, you just go around. And you skip this fight entirely. You don't even need to do this fight for the speed run. So, it turns out that the speed strats for the shark were simply don't do it. Which, not gonna lie, was a bit disappointing. Because I do think this is one of the cooler boss fights in the game. Considering Mama Bear is a true boss and also the tankiest boss in the game, but you don't actually need to fight her. And the White Screecher is actually a worse version of the normal Screechers. So I thought the Rhino Shark was a really cool and unique boss, but it turns out that this is all it is. And that should take me up to the 2nd level. Thank you very much. Or the 3rd level, I suppose. Also, there isn't a lore reason that the Rhino Shark exists, and I think that's kind of funny, because the rest of the bosses have some kind of explanation attached to them in some regard, because like Mama Bear, obviously the bears are a huge thing on Balboa, Bruno talks about dealing with bears, Johnny talks about dealing with bears, etc. The White Screecher is literally just a Screecher. You find them on every island. It's just a variant. And like Alpha has a whole whack load of story tied to him. Even the Lurkers are mutations and that kind of thing. But the Rhino Shark just kind of exists, and I love that for him. One of these is going to have a healing salve. Oh, see, there it is. Told ya. You can pick up some random good healing salve in these vents. And then he's nice and across from me, so... Come here, buddy. Perfect. I also learned, I think we counted, I did it on stream once upon a time, but I think you counted that you can only get 4 barrels out at a time. Before the game is like, no more barrels for you, thank you very much. Okay, here. Last one, buddy. Last one, buddy, come here. Okay, come on. You chickening out now that you know it's over? There we go. And that is the Rhino Shark fight. The Rhino Shark is one of the mobs with the least amount of HP in the game, because I think it only has 40 HP technically, but it doesn't matter because you can't deal physical damage to it. And that's the Rhino Shark boss fight. Just like that. And we grab that, and that is basically the end of Veruna Point. I just gotta climb up here. Also, in case you didn't know, there is a hidden crate back in this pipe, and that takes us right back up here, where all we need to do is get back onto the tower, which is exactly the same route that I used to get out of Jeremiah's aggro in the first place. Alright, then we just do our parkour to get up top. Parkour. 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 Perfect. I remember getting so frustrated the first time I missed all of those jumps, and now it's just muscle memory at this point. So we insert our crane key, do that, and it's gonna drop a big pile of rocks. Nice. And for once, I actually have a zipline tool, which means that I can do this. Whee! And that takes us straight down here. Perfect. And there is our code for temperance. And another crate of things that I cannot fit. And again, as soon as you pick up a blueprint, you've learned the recipe, so you don't even need the physical blueprint for anything. It's great. And yeah, the speedrun strat literally just involves going around this grate and just jumping around behind here. You don't need to do anything with the Rhino Shark. It's honestly kind of funny of a stupid speedrun skip. And then we just go back to our boat. And before I head directly onto Temperance, I'm going to try and sail to one of these large islands and we can get a bit of dirt and possibly a few animals to share our raft with. I would like a llama. So I'm going to see if I can find myself a llama, but let's go to an island. I feel like it also says something that this is the most organized my storage has ever been, and it's not exactly organized. So what that says about me as a person, I don't know, but organized is definitely not a trait that I would use to describe myself. I wasn't exactly paying attention, and we got a little closer to the island than I was anticipating, but we did make it. Also, surprisingly, it gave me an evergreen island, despite the fact that I don't have Balboa set as my receiver location, which means that Balboa is somewhere around here. Doesn't really change anything I need about this island. Just kind of a weird happenstance. The main thing we're here for is probably a llama. I would like a llama. Also the dirt, because I would like to make grass plots, and it costs 2 dirt per grass plot, so I will need to visit several large islands. But that's okay, because it spawned in several large islands. That's 3 dirt, which— ooh, and a llama! Very convenient. Come here, llama. You cannot escape your fate. Where are you going? Wait, where did it go? Oh, it's over there. Ada's making a run for it. There we go. As is classic, you shall be named Yeri. And Yeri, I have a new home for you. Actually, not really. It's not done yet, but I do have a grass plot for you. And Yeri is going to go in this one grass plot that I have made. I suppose I should fence it in all the way so that Yeri doesn't, you know, do something stupid. There you go, Yeri. Just for you until I can expand this out the rest of the way with enough dirt. For now, this is your home. I hope you like it. Yeah, because eventually I'm going to do all 3 right here and do a 3x3. And then I can move, especially once we go through Temperance and get the advanced stationary anchor, I can replace it here. Move the beehives back here because the biofuel refiner will be right here. And that'll wire it up to our engine. We'll have that all fully automated and stuff too. And I'm also making a ton of paint because I don't really know what color I'm going to make this boat yet. So I'm assembling paint in the meantime and hoping for the best. On that note, I did just boot up Sea of Thieves so I could look at some color customization options. And I've got a few hulls that I think would work. Right now, I'm kind of trying to decide. I kind of like the Sea Dog hull because I like the green. I like the green with the red on the bottom. I feel like that looks good. And I like that it's got the natural wood kind of tone in the middle. So I think that could be an option. The thing is, I have to work within Raft's color wheel. So there are certain ones that I think look cool, like the party boat. But I can't use this one because Raft can't replicate those colors or patterns. So I do think we're going to go with Sea Dog. Castaway is a classic, but blue always looks kind of weird in Raft. And the other one that I was really curious about was the Hunter Hull, because black and white is a high contrast color combination that I think would translate well to Raft. And it looks like the way that that presents on the brig is specifically with like kind of a dark over, like a dark brown here, which we can definitely do. And then black on the bottom with gray highlights. And I think that could work. I might try both and just see which one I like better in Raft. But those are the color combinations from Sea of Thieves that I think I'm going to work off of. Apparently, I also need to pay more attention to where I park my boat because I was going to another large island so that we could get more resources. And this happened, so that's fun. It also proves that physics isn't real, so I'll take it. But my main goal for this island is more dirt and potentially another animal. I would prefer a clucker over a goat. Goats are cute, but they're not that useful. So if I find a clucker, I'll pick it up and I'll grab any dirt and extra stuff off this island. That's really all I want here. This island has a pretty decent amount of dirt, though. I have 3 on my raft right now, which means that if I get another couple here... Let's see, if each grass plot requires 2 and I want 9, that means I need a total of 18 dirt. So that puts me at 8, so I only need 10 more dirt. That's only like 3 more large islands? That's not bad at all. Oh, hi, Screecher. Wait a second. You'll never guess what I just found on this large island. Oh yeah, pink clucker, baby. Pink clucker for me. Let's go. I love getting pink cluckers. Rarest animal in the game. And you go into your little plot with Yeri until I get more grass for you. As we're traveling between large islands trying to get enough dirt to finish off my farm area, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start laying down some of my paint. So to do that, I'm going to anchor, and I'm going to turn off wave action so that my boat stops rocking, because a smooth sea is a lot easier to work with. And then I'm going to put down some shark bait over there, get out of the water so that Jeremiah re-aggroes on it. And I'm going to do one-sided painting for now because I don't know if I want the inside to be black. I'm pretty sure that I don't, and it's going to save a few resources. So we're going to go ahead and paint our bottom 2 layers black because I feel like that's kind of what it had in game. And we're just going to get a quick look at what I think this was. I don't remember which color scheme this was, but we're going to get a quick look at what that might look like if we do brown on top as our dark color. And then we'll paint our pillars a light gray quickly to try and see what that would look like. Actually, I think the darker gray is going to be what we want. And if I like how this looks, then I'll do the rest of the boat like so. If not, I'll repaint it. And eventually, if I do like this color scheme, then I need to do a detail plank rim along here. And that's always a little annoying because the detail planks don't want to cooperate with being on an angle. Part of the struggle with working with detail planks at an angle like this is that you need a weird anchor point to make it work, and then from there it'll cooperate with you, but it won't do it until you create your anchor point. And so sometimes you end up with like this gap that just looks weird now. But I can use it as a placement anchor to get closer to my boat and do it that way. And that way from here I can build along the rest of the boat if I'm just careful about how I do my angles. One of the other advantages of using detail planks is that I can just take this, angle it down a little bit, and use this as a little, well, helps if I don't immediately fall off. But you can use that as like a little scaffolding platform to make your life easier while you're working. And there we go. Now we have a little work platform so that I can work on the hull of my boat while the waves are stagnant, and then we can angle it so that it looks nice. Yeah, after painting the outside of the boat, I think I like that. Again, I may have to fix this detail plank a little bit, it's bothering me. But generally, I think that looks pretty good comparatively, and that means that we can move on to adding a few of the details that make the boat look a little more lively. And that's what I have all of these extra detail planks in my boat for. Hi. So one of the things about the brig is that it's got a little bit of extra decoration going up. I think it's like right here. And we are going to use the detail plank for this because, you know, that's kind of what the detail planks are for. We're just going to take it and kind of angle it down to meet up here. Like that. And then if I do it from about the same angle there, I think that looks good. I might add a few more details as we go on, and obviously I need to paint the sails and the crow's nest and all that fun stuff, but I feel like that's pretty okay comparatively. It doesn't have as much depth to it, but again, that's part of the reason I haven't done the brig before, because the brig is decently simple compared to the rest of the ships. So I feel like that's going to work for now, and we're going to head on to Temperance, because I've got what I wanted. As we make our way to Temperance, though, I can work on decorating a little bit, considering I've done most of the functional setup of this raft so far, and I accidentally painted that beehive. My first order of business is using the dirt that I got to expand the grass plots out here. So that means that I need to take all of this and turn it into grass plot all the way along here. And I can also, for now, probably get rid of my paint mixer, considering I don't really need it for anything anymore. I think I have enough paint to paint the remainder of what I want, and if not, I can always place it back down and not lose out on anything. And for some reason, the way that this game works means that I need to take a rope fence behind this particular one, but then the rest of them can be the nice, expensive-looking fences here. Although, part of the reason I don't want to fence in this area yet is that eventually the advanced anchor is going to go here, and that item has some weird collision issues. So for now, I'm going to pick up my beehives because I know that I'm going to move them. So we're going to pick up what we've got out of them, get rid of this particular grass plot. I'm at least going to expand out so that these guys could have a little bit more free roaming space, albeit not all of the free roaming space that they will get, but we're going to use the cheap fences for now to scaffold it in. And then we can wire it from here. I'm just going to do one straight line because it'll be easier. We're going to have to walk over it no matter what. Actually, I said that, but I think I like it better if it does that. Because that way I don't awkwardly get it while I'm like strafing around my storage system. And then that way, once we get all of this expanded out, the sprinkler will water all of this area. And if I lower down these, it'll look a bit cleaner and still be just as functional. And then we can put our beehives back along this wall behind the advanced anchor because I'm going to replace it with the advanced biofuel refiner. So that makes a good plan for the layout of this raft. However, I do want to still revamp the kitchen a little bit, as well as make the bedroom that'll go in here. As for decorating the bedroom, I have a couple of ideas, and I think we're going to go for kind of a more normal bedroom TM, wherein, you know, the bed is in the center of the room, but not against a wall necessarily. It is a bit of a waste of space, but I think it'll look a bit more smooth in the long run. That's already looking a lot better, and I think if we add a few paintings in here as well, then I can just make a kind of gallery wall here. We'll put the one of Jeremiah right there. We'll do this one here. And I think this one can go perfect right there. And what if we get one of those motivational signs? Motivational quote. Raft Sweet Raft is my favorite, so we'll put that one right there. Then we need to fill out these with a little bit of clutter. Yeah, that works for me. And then I just need a stool for my desk, which I think I have the short stool unlocked. I do. Yeah, and then we just add some rugs. So after a layer of paint and a few carpets, I would say that this is a pretty functional bedroom. It may not be very Sea of Thieves themed, but it is in fact a bedroom and I like it, so I'm gonna leave it. I haven't decided how to do the kitchen yet. I don't know if I really even will, considering that all I'm really using is the grill, and I haven't even bothered with my cooking pot, although it does have some extra storage underneath it, which is nice, but again, I haven't really been using it. So I think the next step is to finish Temperance, then we can get down the advanced anchor and really finish out our raft, and then we'll just finish the game. So that's the plan. And just like it was on cue, we did arrive at Temperance. Although now we have to get through all the icebergs, which is kind of annoying. And then once we're here, I think I'm gonna do the observatory first, because the observatory is nice and easy. Plus I get to use snowmobiles, and snowmobiles are one of my favorite things in this game. Although if I find some extra cables lying around, like this radio tower right here, I'm gonna pick them up as we go past them, because, you know, nice and easy. Now I don't have to worry about doing it later on. And if I can avoid the polar bears, all the better. They're not super hard to deal with, considering you can just do this, where you run up to them, hit them, and back off. But it doesn't mean that I want to hit all of the polar bears. Alright, onwards to the observatory, through the most perilous path that you can take. Oh, I forgot that I need that tower. Whee! And there is another polar bear there. And I don't feel bad about leaving my snowmobile laying around, considering that there's another one right there. Oh! Good job, bear. I'm proud of you. That was some excellent acrobatics. Alright, sinkhole time! Yay! Now we can go in. And going in just means swimming through the tunnel, where there's exactly one more angler. So realistically, I could just ignore this angler if I really wanted to, but I'm not a wimp. Come here. Okay, maybe I should have been a wimp. Never mind. I'm a god gamer. Then we come up through here. And then from here, you're supposed to look at all of these lovely little posters to figure out what you're supposed to look at. But you know, you could just be a god gamer like me and just, you know everything ahead of time. And we got the anchor blueprint, which is what I really wanted out of that locker, so we're good to go. And then we're off to the reactor. Wait, before we can go to the reactor, I forgot that I need to actually finish the cable puzzle and get the blowtorch so that I don't be exploity about how I do this. 1 second. Alright, now we can go back to town and wire everything up, and then we can go to the reactor, because I low-key forgot about that step. I'm just so used to speedrunning the game where I don't need to worry about having done the town literally at all. Whee! See, I brought the snowmobile back. And a little bit. And all the way over to the big tent. Oh yeah, I'm just that good. Plus we get to buy the most important thing of all. Mug. And then once we go upstairs in the big dome, we can pick up a few extra vending tokens for fun and profit. And then we can grab the blowtorch and the advanced biofuel refiner blueprint. And then I'm going to make a quick pit stop back at the raft to deposit everything. And then we'll go do the reactor, because, you know, funsies. Everything's deposited. The inventory is clear, which means that I get to do the reactor the normal way, which has been a very long time since I've done so. That is already the wrong door, so we're going to re-equip our hazard suit and go in the right door. I feel like this is a good time to mention the fact that I actually have a Master's of Science, and so the very first time I did this puzzle, it didn't confuse me in the slightest because I saw all of the element codes and I was like, oh, I know my periodic table, and that's fine with me. So, you know, I know that chlorine is 17, and that's fine with me. You know, it just works out the way it works out. So it helps to know your periodic table. Stay in school, kids. See? Just like that. Doors open. Easy clap. I'm pretty sure this room is the laser room. Or no, this is the tube, where all of the scuttlers spawn on you for the first time. Honestly, the scuttlers scared me the first time I played this game. I was not expecting big beetles, even though I knew that the beetles were a thing, because I was paying attention to the dev updates and everything. Although technically you can use the scuttlers as an infinite meat generator, and I feel like that's kind of cursed in its own right. Whether or not you want infinite meat via mutated giant beetles is a different question, but they will give it to you. I'm gonna take it, because I'm shameless. And honestly, it means that I don't have to worry about running out of food for a very long time. And now we get to do the fun laser puzzles. Although the first time I played this room, it really reminded me of Portal 2, which is a game that I was obsessed with. I loved playing Portal. And I loved all of the laser cube puzzles that were in Portal. And so the first time I played this room and used it to fry the control board, I was so happy. And now I just know the result of all the puzzles immediately, so it's a little less fun, you know, because memorization does take away a little bit of the fun of the game. But I still have my own fun playing Raft. So that is all of the normal parts of the reactor done. Back up to the control room, where now I can insert all 3 control rods. And then that allows me to flip the big lever. And it'll give me a key right here. Nice. And then I can use that on the room I tried to go into in the first place. Alright, and I've got a spear as backup because my machete is about to break. And I can take a number of hits here. The scuttlers don't really do a lot of damage. So as long as I do one at a time here. Nice. I'm pretty sure I can just do all 3 without even killing any of the scuttlers. Because they do infinitely spawn in this room, which is a little unfortunate, but I have something lovely called Healing Salve. And that allows me to just infinitely sustain. Also, fun fact, if you are diving and you're taking drowning damage, you can also use Healing Salve and it will outpace the healing. It'll outpace the damage from drowning, so you can just infinitely die like that without any extra equipment. Alright, there we go. It opens the thing, kills all the scuttlers instantly. I can pick up their radioactive bud meat for funsies. And then the big door is open. And that is all of Temperance done and dusted. Plus the blueprint for the electric smelter that I don't really need the blueprint for. We'll say hi to Shogo, just because I think the way that he flops is really funny. Good job, Shogo. And then I just need to go back to my raft, and we'll just make our way over to Utopia. Although as we continue our way on to Utopia, I do want to make the rest of the changes that I wanted to my raft. So that means using the new advanced anchor that I unlocked there. So I'm going to remove this, and the advanced anchor is always one of the most annoying items to place down because it has this weird hitbox. So I think I'm going to have to remove these floors here, which is super annoying, don't get me wrong. Now can you place? There we go. Okay, now I gotta build up my walls and replace everything. There we go. And then I can move my beehives back here behind the anchor because the anchor doesn't actually have this big of a hitbox. It's just really annoying for no reason. So I can go replace everything that I want to about my raft and we'll be totally fine. Alrighty, after a couple of renovations, I did manage to get the advanced anchor down. And of course, like I said, I put the advanced biofuel refiner inside of it, although I was slightly wrong about the placements. So if I were rebuilding this raft, I would probably mirror it so that the engine went on this side of the boat instead, so that it would be easier to flip. But it's really not the end of the world, and it works just the same. We managed to make it work. We got our beehives over here. Again, if I were planning on playing long-term survival, I would probably put a couple of flower pots around here instead of just getting one honey at a time out of these, but it works. It works just as well for me right now, and that's totally fine. And we got Yeri and our pink clucker, and everything is set up naturally, so, you know, I'm pretty okay with that. Personally, some people say that my raft builds are too small. I like them this size because it feels a bit cozier and a bit more, you know, homey, which I like. It may not be for you, but there's a reason I build them this size, and I like it, so, you know. That's for me. If you want it bigger, build it bigger, that's okay. Well, at least we're on our way to Utopia, and I really like the way this raft came out. I forgot to repaint those. 1 second. There we go. That's better. And yeah, this way we have a fully functional raft with all of the endgame setup that I personally like in a raft. And it should be okay. Plus a bonus turtle, you know, for funsies. So we're on our way to Utopia, and I feel good about this raft design and what we've done so far. So I think it's about time we head to the last story location and see how it's going over there. Oh, on our way, we're sailing past the radio tower. How cute. You know, I feel like Utopia might be the one location that it's worth making armor for. So, Yuri's been getting a good shaving every once in a while so I could finish out my armor set. Unfortunately, I had just enough leather from all those bears and other things that we dealt with along the way, so at least I'll be nice and protected for the alpha fight. And just like that, you know, the brig is sailing up to Utopia, which we get to see all of the lovely skyscrapers for. Fun fact, these skyscrapers actually go down quite a ways into the water, but after a certain point, they just kind of stop. And there's nothing down there. It's not worth exploring, but that is what happens to them, in case you were wondering. I've also always appreciated that Dedo's Dock is such a nice parking spot for my raft. Makes it so easy for those of us who don't want to worry about getting back and forth from our raft. Oh, and I ran into it. Good parking job. Perfect, let me stock up on food and water really fast. And we'll get going. Time to see if I remember where all of the right spots are without looking at the thing. It's been a while since I've done this, but I'm pretty sure it's the second in right here. It's either this or the corner. Okay, it was not that one. Hi, bugs. I'm pretty sure it's this one. I know one is like right next to the shed. Oh yeah, I'm so good. And I'm pretty sure the last one is in the same thing as the well, and it's the one right in the corner in here. This is a really test of my memory instead of looking at the note. I am just that good at the game. And that unlocks Dedo's laboratory, or whatever you want to call this. And his little rocket. I love the fact that there's this little improved version of the rocket. I think it's so cute, versus the one from Caravan Town. Plus, I hate the fact that you get so many blueprints at this location that are so useful. Because frankly, I love Raft, but there's not a huge reason to keep going after Utopia. Okay, next up is the water puzzle, where you get to see hyenas for the first time. And the last time. This was the only place hyenas exist. It's been a long time since I've done this part of Utopia, quote-unquote, normally. So again, this is just more of a test of my memory than whether or not you can do the story location in a given way, because I'm pretty sure you get one cable here, and then you are supposed to go across with the cables to get the next cable, and then you're supposed to build like a little staircase right here, and then you're supposed to take these two boxes and make a smaller jump pad right here, and then you go over here. I always forget that this ladder was here. I just kind of jumped over, but you know, you do you. Alright, from here, we'll bring this one down. Then repeat the process one more time to bring the thing back across. I forget how you're supposed to do this part, because I know that you need to drag the cable over there, but I'm pretty sure the only way to get in through here is, yeah, door's locked from the other side. Wait, actually, I've never tried this before. Oh, you could absolutely third-person clip this if you wanted to. We'll pretend that didn't happen. I didn't just glitch that. I've literally never tried that before, and nothing happened. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Everything's awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Can I drag a cable and zipline across, or does that break things? I don't remember. Oh no, you're supposed to drag it from here over. That's what you're supposed to do. We'll do it the intended way. We'll go across really fast, and then we drag the cable from here across. There we go. And then we can zipline across one last time. And this will be the one that connects it up to the generator and powers the water puzzle. Alright, and then the easiest way to deal with this puzzle is to make sure that both ends are lined up, which I'm pretty sure is this one. It is not that one. Yeah, like that one doesn't line up. You also don't want to have to force it. So if it doesn't look like it actually lines up properly, then it doesn't. Alright, then we need to connect with this little tube right here. Aha. See, I know what I'm doing. And then that connects up to this water puzzle. Second water puzzle, again, same thing, outsides first. So then it needs to connect there, so it needs to connect there. So it needs to connect there and here. So it's gonna be like that. Easy. And then we can go do the third one. There we go. Perfect. And that should unlock the rest that we need here for the carbon dioxide canister. And now we can launch this. Kablooey, and zipline across. You know, the Utopian citizens are all here, and I wonder how they feel about me blasting a big old hole in their wall. I imagine they're not too pleased with it, but also, you know, I'm saving them, so they can't be too displeased either. It's a fine line, really. And that is the end of the outside of Utopia, so I just need to go grab the other key, which I believe is at the final area, the final hut. Because normally I just yeet myself off of that balcony up there to end the game. But since we're doing it legit, I gotta go get the other key. That's the one where Hannah talks about how all the Utopian citizens, you know, should take a stand against Olaf, and then, you know, Olaf imprisons all of them, so it's a good time. There's only like 3 notes at Utopia, which is kind of strange considering it's the last location. But the reason for that is because there's like the only actual NPC in the game until you finish the game. I remember seeing Olaf for the very first time and being like, wow, there's another actual human in this world. Oh, I have to do this horrible spinny parkour, don't I? I hate this parkour. I can do it. It just causes me unnecessary stress and pain that I don't like. I hate this parkour section. I hate this parkour section. Never mind, I am just a god gamer. I am simply that good. Okay, it was only that first little failure. Then I can grab the hammer. And then we go back and crack open that door. Oh, and we get to see Olaf for the first time. How lovely. His lovely little dictator face. There he is. Olaf. In the meantime, you can continue yapping. I'm gonna do me, which is actually really easy because all you gotta do is put a box right here, put a thing there, grab this, do the same thing again with this box, and then do this. Again, can you tell that I've done this before? I've played this game like a few times, and then you're supposed to do this like whole weight puzzle where you do this. I don't have it fully memorized, the solution, but I have most of it figured out. Also, it's a lot easier if you just sit on the elevator so that you don't have to go up and down manually. Very nice. See? First puzzle already done. I can grab a weightless cogwheel that prevents you from jumping but does literally nothing else. Now I'm gonna grab another cogwheel so I can bring it over to a pile. You can also pick up this one right here. It doesn't matter which one you grab. And we do it again. Almost gonna keep yapping at me. Really sounds like a him problem, if we're being honest. We'll grab the 2. And then 3. And that should do it. I am simply that good. That was real time. I just know what I'm doing far too well. It's almost like I've played this game before. I'm gonna keep saying that because I have 1,000 hours in this game for no reason. And now I'm supposed to go do the whole parkour again. But I'm supposed— okay, wait. Before I do the whole parkour again, you're supposed to take this cogwheel and put it on this thing. And again, I'm not being exploity. We'll do the entire parkour section again. Give me my cogwheel. I worked for that. Cogwheel completed. I hate the parkour in this game because sometimes the hitbox just does not do what you want it to do. And it's even worse if you're playing in multiplayer. Because sometimes I swear this game just refuses to do what you tell it to do. I love Raft so much, but I swear that sometimes this game hates me. Alrighty, almost gonna start chucking bombs. He's gonna have a grand old time doing so. It actually takes him a long time to start hucking bombs, so if you can be any kind of fast here, it's actually pretty easy to do. This is the advantage of never being caught by surprise by anything in this game anymore. No stress. I can walk through fire, and it'll be totally fine. Because I'm fine, and I know what I'm doing. Perfect. And we'll pick up the electro zipline tool, because why not? For funsies. This is like probably the worst section of the game is the infinite hyena fight, so I'm gonna make sure that I'm good on food and water for a while here. Because I hate this fight. It's so unnecessarily obnoxious in my opinion. Because all you gotta do is build a staircase, right? But the hyenas, with the way they work, just seem to hate everything in life itself. Also, if you really wanted to, this room is technically an infinite meat generator, the same way that the reactor is, although the hyenas are slightly more valuable. This is also your last chance if you're playing the game normally to get hyenas, if you didn't want to farm the beginning stage. How about you don't do that? This is why you gotta keep moving, because as soon as those hyenas grab you, it's pretty much GG for a little bit. Again, this is why I hate this room, because it's just annoying. How did you grab me from up there? And there we go. Okay, well at least it gives me a chance to prepare, because one of the things I do want to do is deal with Alpha in my way, TM. Alright, now that I've built all of the staircase already, this should be really simple to just grab a few extra boxes if I really need it. And just like that, we're good to go. Come here, Olaf. You owe me. Come here, buddy. You know you can't run from me. And then he's going to go on to his whole super long monologue that I've heard about 40 times about how, you know, none of you deserve anything. He deserves everything because he's a founder, etc. There's also no way to turn off the subtitle for this fight, which would be fine most of the time. I mean, you can turn off your whole UI, but that doesn't even turn off the subtitles, which is something that frustrates me personally as a creator when I'm trying to get like nice cinematic shots, but functionally doesn't do anything. I'm gonna keep talking over Olaf because I don't like him. He irritates me. And we get our metal arrows back. Oh, I gotta remember to not stand in the poison. That is kind of an important step. Okay, come here. Give me back my metal arrows. Oh, hi, I can pick up my metal arrows off of you when we're doing this. That's pleasant. Honestly, it probably would have been a good idea to bring my healing salve with me, but I didn't do that. Oh, come on. Now I gotta run all the way back up. Fortunately, he doesn't regen health, so I'll see you up there. Oh, I forgot to open that door. Gosh dang it. I knew I was forgetting something. Nothing that we can't fix, although this time I am opening the door, just in case. I'm not gonna mess up again, but just in case, you know. Okay, Alpha, you ready for round 2? Come here, buddy. Okay, you were a little aggressive at the gate. Okay, that was a bit rude. Fortunately, I still have plenty of materials. I just need to wait a little bit for seagulls to get more arrows. One more time up the elevator. Okay, Alpha, you know what they say. Third time's the charm. Let's go, buddy. And this time he isn't right on me right away. Well, that's good. Okay, that's a little bit rude. Can you not do that, please? Can you please stop? Grab the arrows quickly and run. Ooh, and a bonus arrow. Okay, come here, buddy. Aha, it worked. Finally. You know what? I'm getting your head. So I will take your remains and your trophy, and I will wear it as a trophy. Thank you very much for playing. I look fabulous. Alright, come here, Olaf. I'm sick of your shenanigans. I think this is literally the exact second time that I have ridden up this elevator to get into this room normally. Normally I floated in a big bathtub on a ramp. Well, that's just me personally. Alright, do your thing. Thank you for the master key, and I'm taking your vending tokens because you don't deserve them. No. Also, that's illegal. Okay, you're supposed to take the elevator down and open the door, but I intend on never coming back here, so this is the one time we're just gonna do it the speedrunning strat. Imagine if I didn't have enough health to survive that. And the master. And that's the end of the game. This is the final cutscene. And just like that, we're in the final plaza with all of the people happily restored, and for once Olaf isn't chucking bombs at people, so you know. That's nice. Good job, Olaf. We love to see some character growth. This is also the only other place you can get bananas in the game, so we love that. Sadly, no strawberries though, so if you want strawberries, you gotta go to Tangaroa. That's the only way. But that is officially the end of Raft. We did it. We did an entire playthrough. Normally, for once, which is saying something for me, because, like, I don't play this game normally anymore. And there's my boat. Let's go see it. There it is. My lovely brig rendition to round out our Sea of Thieves collection. Admittedly, this is my least favorite of the Sea of Thieves boats, but that is also true of the normal game itself. So I suppose that works out in true form. But we did an entire raft playthrough, and just as a quick raft tour, in case you didn't see enough of it throughout this video. You know, we've got the full deck here. Then you got a door for easy access or a ladder on the other side with some detail planks. We have our fully automated area here. My sprinkler died because I didn't replace the battery, but you know, Yeri and my pink clucker are still vibing. Fully automatic engine setup here with the pipe that goes through the window, beehives, etc. You go back over here, Yeri. A nice little bedroom. The kitchen, quote unquote, with cooking pot and grill. Plenty of storage for me personally. And then the upper deck, where everything is made to look like the brig from Sea of Thieves. Obviously minus the cannons, because cannons aren't a thing in this game. They should add that, but they haven't. But anyways, I think that is everything for me for now. I hope you enjoyed this Let's Play of Raft. I honestly never thought I would do one, but here we are. If there are other games you want me to do a full playthrough of, like this one, let me know. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Please consider leaving a like if you did, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really helps me out. I have to see you all again soon. But until then, have a great day.